Gerald Celente will be with us for a half hour, till the half-hour point in the next hour. Very honored to have him. I want to throw out some news headlines at him as well. We're going to start taking your calls in T-minus 5 minutes when we go into the fourth and final hour here. Basically, government is a giant nexus point that allows corruption to pour in and feed off the people. The Congress won't even read and won't even publish all of the health care bill. They passed NAFTA and GATT without reading it. Remember, told us how great NAFTA and GATT would be. Gerald, how is the system going to keep the people from removing NAFTA and GATT, ending the open borders, ending all the welfare for illegals? How are they going to be able to continue the war when there's giant soup kitchens and long lines? How are they going to be able to continue this? Well, my answer is a control grid. U.S. News and World Report has announced that the police have kill switches in basically all the new cars through OnStar and other systems where they just turn your car off. They always planned that. I mean, clearly they've put this high-tech control grid in knowing they were going to bring in this tyranny later. But still, I think it's wishful thinking. Like you said, desperate people do desperate things. They're not going to be able to control what happens.
No, they're not. It's way beyond their control. You know, people should understand as they look around and they look at who these world leaders are or their own leaders, you know, Nancy Pelosi's, the Barney Franks, the Bonners, the Shelbys, the Dodds, the Obamas, the Geithners, the Summers. Remember all those people you couldn't stand in high school that wanted to be the class president or the head of the student council in college, or the people that worked on the newspapers, the people that you really, you know, that they always thought that they were better than you? Well, guess what, folks? All those people you couldn't stand in high school, those are the people that are telling you what to do right now. And just as you looked at them back in high school, and you saw that there were a bunch of brown nosers and suck-ups, and they really didn't know much about anything other than having an attitude. Well, that's who they are. They still don't know much about anything. They pretend to, and they have this phalanx of guards around them, and all of the pomp and circumstances that pumps them up. And of course, you know, they're living these privileged lives, so they actually do think they're better than the rest of us. They're not going to be able to hold it together. We're going to see also, one of our forecasts is that we're going to see great secessionist movements really take hold, and we could actually see the breakup of the republic, just like we saw the breakup of the former Soviet Union.
We're going to talk about that more after we take calls, but when I read about the psychology of Henry Kissinger and all these different globalists, they themselves admit they love the guards, they love the pomp, they love the awards. And I'm not saying I'm some perfect person, but I can't stand pomp. I can't stand just fake praise. But I guess for people like the Queen of England, they love uniforms. They love big golden crowns. They love, and they're smart at certain levels, but at another level, they're dumb. They do just paper over it with a police state and their lies. But like you have been saying, this isn't going to hold water.
No, it's not. You know, and again, you know, when you hear these politicians like Al Gore or Hillary Clinton or Bush, I'm going to fight for you. These people couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. Anybody that calls them their leaders needs to have their heads examined. These people couldn't lead me across the street, and they want to lead a country. Again, it's all show. It's the Obama show. We've never had a show like this one before. He's on daytime TV, late night TV. He's at town hall meetings. He's on factory floors. He's all over the place. It's a show. There's nothing behind it. It's the Wizard of Oz.
And people are finding out that it's all hollow, and that's why his approval rating's dropping like a rock. We'll talk about some of the other future trends you haven't gotten to yet. Before you leave us, we'll also discuss that key area, Gerald, that you got into, dealing with the looting of America by offshore corporations. We'll be right back in 1 minute with the final hour. We are locked and loaded. You found it, the front line in the info war. I'm Alex Jones, your host. Gerald Celente of trendsresearch.com is our guest for another 30 minutes. We're going straight to your calls. But before he leaves us, more trends forecasting as we look over the horizon through the mind of Gerald Celente. Cynthia in Maryland, thanks for holding. You're on the air worldwide. Welcome.
Hi. First of all, I wanted to say, before the break, before this one, I noticed that there was Doctor Who music playing in the background, and I thought that was so apropos because I just wanted to say that Doctor Who, Charlie Jade, Eureka, Heroes, and another show, everybody knows them as science fiction, but I have to say that they are based on fact. There are a lot of aspects of those shows that are put into science fiction, but are actually based on fact.
When I grew up, hardly anybody had cable, and we didn't have cable. And one of the few shows on was Doctor Who, and I watched it a few times. But Paul Watson wrote an article a few years ago about the new Doctor Who, where the government stages a fake alien attack on London as a pretext to crack down on the population. Do you have any questions for Gerald Celente?
No, I just wanted to give some other educational resources, being Link TV, Free Speech TV, WPFW, and Democracy Now.
My problem with Democracy Now! is it is better than some mainstream corporate media, but it's still Ford Foundation funded and is still behind Obama. But at least they did admit that Obama lied about how he wasn't going to sign signing statements. Gerald Celente, I mean, we know they're liars, but you've been studying this for 30 plus years and advising government, corporations, you name it. Is the lying getting more intense, or is it just we're aware of it? Because the New York Times and others have a school program where they give fact sheets to school children saying there is no mercury in the shots, it doesn't give you neurological disorders, it can't sterilize you. But then the drug insert from FDA.gov, I showed this on television/radio show yesterday, here they are, says that it can do all of that and that there is mercury in it. And so just all of the lie, and Obama, he seems to have broken all the lying records in my book. Your take on that?
Well, he has, and it's every time that you go through the litany of lies from Obama, what he said he was going to do, whether it has to do with habeas corpus, rendition, the Patriot Act, wiretapping, pulling the troops out of Iraq, putting more troops into Afghanistan, bombing sovereign nations. You go after one issue after another.
Lobbyist lying, saying he would have open government.
And you tell these things to his liberal supporters, and what I say is that you go through the facts and they look at you, and the only thing they could do is give you a quiche-eating grin and a balsamic smile, and they say, well, give him time, or, oh, he can't really fight that much about this. Just give him a chance. What chance? How much more chance? He's one of them. Nothing has changed. It's only a different team in there playing the same crooked games. Has the lying increased? Yes, it has. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. It's one lie after another every day. But the biggest thing that's happened, Alex, between Bush and Obama in 1 year, is that this country went from the greatest entrepreneurial country in the world, the one that was the envy of everybody that wanted to come here to make their mark, to now a country that's too big to fail, that they have jammed down the public's throats, this too big to fail lie, and that all our resources should be going to protect them. In our Trends Journal, we did a story about this too big to fail. After Obama was elected in December, they asked him, why are we bailing out these companies? And he came out with this two-bit analogy. Well, if your neighbor's house is on fire, even if he smoked in bed or left a stove on, wouldn't you want to put it out if it was going to catch your fire onto your house? Well, 7 months later, on 60 Minutes, they asked Federal Chairman Bernanke the same question. And you know what he said? What if your neighbor's house is on fire and he left a stove on and smoked in bed? Would you want to put it on?
Stay there. They're reading off the script.